The 17th President, sir. Standing before you, sir, we have a total of 89 licensed conferees. Their applications having been thoroughly reviewed by the Institute, they've been found worthy to be granted the license to practice as chartered tax practitioners. I now present them to you, sir, for the administration of the oath of allegiance.
When I say I, you insert your name and then say after me. I do solemnly swear.
Today is not a routine ceremony. It is not a box-ticking exercise. It is a defining moment in the professional life of every practitioner seated here, and a reaffirmation of the Institute's unwavering commitment to integrity, competence, and public trust in tax practice. Let me be clear. This license is earned and not given.
The Tinubu tax reform, which took effect from 1st January 2026, is now in its second month, and activities are in a heightened form to actualize the reform and rake in the desired dividends. This past week was a busy week. On Tuesday, the 10th of February, the CITN presented certificates, stamps, and seals to 89 licensees. 2 days later, on Thursday, the 12th of February, the Institute followed up by hosting a workshop on e-invoicing and the new tax law. E-invoicing, to be administered by the Nigerian Revenue Service, is expected to be a game changer in tax administration in Nigeria. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, is the sole body statutorily recognized to regulate the practice of taxation, including the registration and licensing of persons desirous of practicing taxation in Nigeria. This is by virtue of Decree number 76 of 1992. As at date, the CITN has a membership strength of 33,670, comprising of associates and fellows. These associates and fellows comprise of tax administrators working in government tax collecting authorities and tax practitioners working in tax practicing firms. Within these ranks, there are also those who choose to act as advisors and representatives of taxpayers. This group needs to be licensed and equipped with stamps and seals. Section 33 of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act 2025, which took effect from 1st January 2026, refers to this group of men and women as tax agents. These tax agents, duly recognized, are the ones that should be consulted by individuals and corporate bodies seeking to fulfill their obligations under the Nigerian tax laws. On Tuesday, the 10th of February 2026, 89 men and women were presented with practicing license, seals, and stamps to formally accredit them as tax agents. Welcoming the new licensees and guests to the event was Chairman Membership and Professional Conduct Committee of the CITN, Dr. Yemi Sani.
A CITN practice license is not merely a document. It is a mark of professional maturity. It is a seal of credibility. And above all, it is a license to serve the public interest. Let me be clear. This license is earned and not given. The journey to obtaining it is deliberately rigorous. It is designed that way because tax practice sits at the intersection of law, public finance, ethics, and national development. Those who hold this license advise government, they guide corporations, they shape compliance behavior, and influence integrity of the Nigeria's revenue system. There is simply no room for mediocrity, no room for shortcuts, and no room for compromised values.
Dr. Sonny went on to list out qualifications required for this exalted position.
To qualify for this license, candidates must demonstrate deep technical competence built over years of structured training and practice, proven professional experience under supervision, a clear understanding of ethical obligations and professional conduct, and a track record that aligns with the Institute standard of integrity and discipline. Beyond examination and documentation, the Membership and Professional Conduct Committee scrutinizes character, because in tax practice, knowledge without character is dangerous. This is why the license is not a permanent entitlement. It is a continued privilege, sustained only by compliance with professional standards, ethical conduct, quality assurance reviews, and lifelong learning. The same institute that confers this license also reserves the authority and indeed the responsibility to withdraw it where conduct falls short of our expectations. The theme of today's program, integrity in tax practice, ethics, professional conduct, and accountability in Nigeria's 2025 tax era, could not be more timely. As Nigeria's tax laws evolve and enforcement tightens, the role of licensed tax practitioners becomes even more critical. You are not just advisors to clients, you are custodians of confidence in the tax system in Nigeria and beyond. To those who will be presented with the licenses today, I say this: you are joining a select community of professionals entrusted with a powerful mandate. Wear this license with humility, defend it with courage, protect it with uncompromising integrity. Let your practice reflect not only technical competence, but independence of mind, ethical clarity, and accountability to the public good.
In his opening remarks delivered on his behalf by the Vice President of the Institute, Mr. Simon Kato, President of the Institute, Mr. Innocent Ohagwa, situated his remarks around what is expected of the new and old licensees.
I want to especially congratulate each and every one of you who have met these rigorous requirements prescribed by council for the issuance of a practicing license. By this ceremony, you are formally admitted into the role of licensed tax practitioners of the Institute and authorized to practice taxation as a regulated profession in Nigeria. This is no small achievement, and you should take pride in it. However, this privilege comes a weighty responsibility. It comes with a weighty responsibility. Council expects that in the conduct of your practice, you will be guided by all times by the provisions of the Institute's charter, the professional rules and practice guidelines and statements of taxation standards, STS 1 to 9. These instruments should be your professional compass at all times. In addition, you are expected to demonstrate full compliance of the extant tax laws and all relevant regulations issued by the relevant constituted authorities, that is the Office of the Tax Ombudsman, or Ombuds rather, and the Joint Revenue Board, as well as relevant tax authorities. You must hold in the highest esteem the core values of the Institute, now clearly articulated as service, teamwork, excellence, and professionalism, with the acronym STEP. These values must not only define how you practice, but also how you engage taxpayers, businesses, public institutions, and society at large.
And this note of caution.
Permit me to sound a clear note of caution. The Institute will not hesitate to apply disciplinary measures where cases of misconduct are reported and established. Our investigating panel and disciplinary tribunal remains vigilant and empowered to protect the integrity of the profession. Professional license is a privilege and it must be safeguarded by ethical conduct. Distinguished colleagues, this ceremony is taking place at a defining moment in Nigeria's fiscal history, with the coming into force of the new Tax Reforms Act effective 1st January 2026. Nigeria has entered a new tax era that seeks for efficiency, fairness, transparency, and alignment with global best practices. These reforms are ambitious in scope, and their success will depend largely on how well they are interpreted, implemented, and communicated by you and other stakeholders. The new tax reform has strategically and ethically elevated the role of tax professionals, especially in Section 33, subsection 1 of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025, where it provides that a taxpayer may either represent itself or be represented by a tax agent accredited by the relevant tax authority. Furthermore, Section 147 defines a tax agent as any person acknowledged and duly certified by a professional body in Nigeria to represent the taxable person. This directly touches on the mandate of CITN under its Enabling Act. Therefore, individuals, businesses, and even public institutions will look up to you for guidance. You will be the bridge between policy and practice, between legislation and compliance. Your role is not merely to advise, but to help build trust in the system, encourage voluntary compliance, and ensure that the objectives of the reforms translate into measurable outcomes for government, the economy, and the populace at large. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, as the sole body chartered by Act to regulate the practice of taxation of members in Nigeria, will therefore not compromise on ethics, professionalism, or continuous learning. Taxation remains a specialized and regulated profession, and only those with the requisite expertise and certification must be allowed to practice. Accordingly, as CITN licensed practitioners, you are expected to remain committed to continuous professional development. Participation in the Institute's training programs is not optional. It is mandatory for all practitioners and members. The tax landscape is evolving rapidly, and your technical competence must remain current, relevant, and responsive to emerging fiscal realities.
The presentation of certificates to the new tax agents was also preceded by 3 major presentations aimed at further preparing them for the task at hand. And then the high point of the event.
Please let me call our registrar to come on board to come and present the qualified licensed tax practitioners to the president for them to take their oath of office.
Thank you very much, sir. This is the time we have been waiting for. You have all waited patiently. The 17th president, sir. Standing before you, sir, we have a total of 89 licensed conferees. Their applications having been thoroughly reviewed, I'll say that again, by the Institute. They've been found worthy to be granted the license to practice as chartered tax practitioners. I now present them to you, sir, for the administration of the oath of allegiance.
When I say I, you insert your name and then say after me. I do solemnly swear I shall always comply with the provisions of the Institute Charter, comply with all codes of ethics, that as a licensed tax practitioner, I will perform my duty. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thereafter, the licensees were called forward to receive the certificates, seals, and stamp.
Blessing Ronke Oluwatimiro. Kazim Adekunle Abiade should get ready. Adedoyin Olukemi Amosun. Joy Njideka Onyewuchi. Kazim Olanrewaju Oyetade. Wasiu Olaiya Akintoye. Williams Jonathan.
One of the licensees responded on behalf of her colleagues.
On behalf of my professional colleagues, our status has changed. Everything about us has changed. In line with what my brother Sani said, we have been given special soup. And I know that as we bathe with this soup, our flourishing will appear to each and every one of us. First and foremost, I must commend the Institute. Value has been added. A lot of things has been re-emphasized. And I know that each and every one of us will go home and practicalize it. Because it is not what you hear that makes you. It is what you do with what you hear. Yes, we have heard about collaboration. Let's reach out. Now that we are here, let's exchange our cards. Let's exchange our cards and let's keep on networking. Then secondly, we have been taught we should not be thinking about fees. What are you going to pay me? What value are you adding? What value are you adding to your clients? Because it is when you add value that the client, whatever amount you mention, he may even be ready to even give you much more. And with that, you'll be able to establish that relationship. A lot of us at times may come across difficult clients. And when you are closing the door, don't jam the door. Whatever it is, you may still need that client tomorrow. So on behalf of our fellow participants, we want to say thank you to our president, to our council member, to the organizing committee. You have done marvelously well. And we are pledging that we will not put the institute to shame. We will lift the banner higher and higher.
You came in here this morning as just members of the institute, but you are working out this afternoon as tax practitioners. Please celebrate yourselves once again. Congratulations.
Tax Matters sought to know from the president what distinguishes this crop of licensees from the regular associates and fellow members.
There are different levels of membership. First of all, before getting the practice license, you need to be a member. When you are a member, then you need to undergo some practice, have experience, work to get the practical experience, and then you apply. There is a timeline, required. Both post and pre-experience is relevant. And the license is to grant you, the right to practice as a chartered tax practitioner. As a member, you can work as an employee, and you can also work as a chartered tax practitioner or as an administrator, but each of them has different scope. The one of today is spectacular because for you to produce consultants that are versatile and knowledgeable in tax management of their clients is very, very relevant. And with the new laws that has been enacted, that has already commenced, the expectation of a tax professional has also been elevated. So there's need for you to bring the proposed members who intends to go into practice together so that you can take them through the practice rules and guidelines, professional ethics, and also areas of what practice is all involved. That will enable them to be equipped, to start the journey straight away.
What is expected of these licenses?
As a stakeholder and as a tax professional, you are expected to demonstrate knowledge. You are supposed to also demonstrate advocacy to your professional colleagues and taxpayers and your client. Your duty is not only to the profession. You have a duty to your clients. You have a duty to your employers. You have a duty to general public who may rely on your view. And at this particular time of reforms, a lot is expected from tax professionals to enlighten their immediate environment. It could be in where they live, could be where they school, it is maybe where they worship, or it may also be for small micro and businesses. It may also be for large players. So everyone is expected to operate within the scale that value addition will be given to the public.
Mr. Hagwa also spoke on the stand of the CITN with regards to the new tax acts.
Really, CITN position with respect to this new tax reform is we really support it, and we also call on our members, over 35,000 members, to support and encourage their clients, encourage their community, to give support to it. Before now, the Institute has been talking about, reform, because without reform, you cannot develop. It is reform in tax administration, in tax practice, that will enable government to be able, one, improve the standard of living of the citizenry, provide tax relief to the less vulnerable, make the small and micro, nano enterprises, some of them, they are exempted in view of their threshold. So all this, one, is to improve the condition of living of the citizenry. Number two, when the process is enhanced, government will generate more resources to be able to rely less on debt, to rely less on printing naira notes. And overall, the tax to GDP ratio will be enhanced, and Nigeria will be able to compete competitively within the Committee of Nations.
Here is congratulating the 89 licensed tax practitioners and wishing them the very best in their endeavors. Thank you for watching.